So what would happen if the cast of Stranger Things actually sat down and answered the 50 most Googled questions about the show? Well, it turns out they did, and we've gone through and distilled every single answer right here. So let's dive in and see what secrets they were willing to spill. All right, let's kick things off with the absolute biggest question, the one that has had fans spinning theories for years. Why in the world is the Upside Down frozen in time on the exact day Will Byers disappeared? It's a massive mystery right at the heart of the show. So, what did the cast have to say about it? They said absolutely nothing. They totally dodged it. Natalia Dyer, who plays Nancy, just shut it right down with a simple, "I'm not answering that." And you know what? That tells us something huge. The show's biggest, most important secrets are being saved for the very end. But don't you worry, they spilled the beans on pretty much everything else. So let's get into what they did tell us. Okay, first up, welcome to Hawkins, Indiana. Before we get into all the monsters and the mysteries, let's just lay down the basic facts of the show's world, straight from the people who live in it. So while the story is, of course, set in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana, the real-world magic actually happens in Atlanta and Albuquerque. And it's kind of hard to believe this whole thing started way back in the summer of 2016, all from the minds of those twin geniuses, the Duffer Brothers. You ever wonder why November 6th is officially Stranger Things Day? Well, it's not just some random date the marketing team picked. In the show's world, that's the day it all began. That's the day Will Byers disappeared back in 1983, kicking off this entire crazy epic saga. All right, Section 2, Secrets of the Upside Down. Now we're getting to the good stuff. We're heading straight into that dark, terrifying mirror world to unpack the mysteries of the dimension itself and, of course, the monster who runs the place. This is a big one, the villain's origin story. How does a disturbed kid with psychic powers, Henry Creel, transform into the absolute nightmare monster we all know as Vecna? Well, the cast actually laid out the whole timeline for us. Turns out it all happened in 3 main stages. First, Henry was just born with these powers. Second, during that epic psychic battle in the lab, Eleven overpowered him and literally blasted him into another dimension, trapping him there. And finally, as actor Charlie Heaton put it, that dimension itself, the Upside Down, is what physically twisted him from just being the guy into becoming the monster. But here's where things get really fascinating. It seems the cast themselves aren't entirely sure who the real big bad is. Is Vecna actually the Mind Flayer? Maya Hawke seems to think they've sort of merged into one single being. But then Charlie Heaton disagrees, saying Vecna controls the Mind Flayer, but isn't the same thing. The fact that even the actors have different theories is such a cool peek behind the curtain. The cast also cleared up a few rapid-fire questions about the Upside Down. Is the air toxic? They all kind of nodded and said, probably. Did the dimension always exist? Interestingly, no. They said it was created the moment Eleven first made psychic contact with a Demogorgon, and that very first gate, that was torn open when she banished Henry Creel. And finally, for everyone out there, yes, they did find Barb's body in the Upside Down. Justice for Barb is finally served. All right, Section 3, Inside the Characters' Minds. Enough about monsters for a minute. Let's dig into the actual people at the heart of the story. Their relationships, their motivations, and yeah, their tragic losses. Man, Hawkins has a seriously high body count. When they were asked to name all the fallen heroes, the cast quickly listed off some of the most painful ones. Barb, Bob, Billy, Benny from the diner, the absolute legend Eddie Munson, and even poor Fred from the newspaper. That's a lot of B's and a whole lot of heartbreak. So what about one of the show's most debated breakups? Why did Nancy and Steve really call it quits? Well, according to Natalia Dyer, there's no big dramatic secret. The truth is actually a lot more simple and human. She just said they were just growing in different directions. It happens. Just a perfectly normal, relatable end to a high school romance. Of course, you can't have a whole conversation about Stranger Things without asking the most important question of all. Seriously, what is the deal with Steve Harrington's magnificent hair? And this is where you just have to love the cast's sense of humor. When asked for the secret to his iconic hair, Joe Carey's perfect, deadpan response was simply, "You tell me, man." And so the legend of Steve's hair continues to be a beautiful, unsolved mystery. So what is going on inside Vecna's head? The cast had some pretty interesting theories about why he picks his victims. They think he targeted Chrissy out of pure insecurity. They believe he deliberately let Nancy go so she could act as a messenger and spread fear. And his deep, strange obsession with Will? They theorize it's because Vecna sees a reflection of his own pain and vulnerability in him. And for our final section, let's go behind the scenes. Time to pull back the curtain for some fun facts and production secrets straight from the cast. Here are a few quick production tidbits for you. Is the final season going to be rated TVMA? The cast seems to think so. Is a spin-off coming? They're pretty sure of it. And why that iconic Kate Bush song? The answer is simple, and it's perfect, because she's great. And just to round things out, yes, the mall was the Starcourt Mall, and the school mascot is the Tigers. Remember that absolutely hilarious sequence in Season 3? What exactly were Steve and Robin drugged with under the Starcourt Mall? Well, according to the cast, it was some kind of Russian truth-telling poison, basically a truth serum. Real or not, it definitely did the trick. And finally, we have to share this piece of life advice from Chief Hopper himself. According to him, mornings are for just two things. And what are they? Coffee and contemplation. Honestly, words to live by. So after 50 questions and a whole lot of answers, where does that leave us? What are the biggest mysteries that still absolutely have to be solved in this final season? And that brings us right back to where we started. The cast gave us so much about the characters, the lore, the world, but they kept the biggest secrets under lock and key. That very first question, why the Upside Down is frozen in 1983, that's not just a random detail. It's probably the key to everything. It leaves us all with one final, haunting thought. What really happened on November 6th that was so powerful it didn't just take a little boy? It froze an entire dimension in time? I guess we'll just have to wait for the final season to find out.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.